I'm Evan Allen.
And I'm Michelle Voydik.
Thank you.
In July of 2013, we received a violation from your zoning and planning office. They cited us as an agricultural operation. Since that day forward, we started asking a lot of questions because we had a copy of our ordinances. We did do some homework on the ordinances before we went ahead and did purchase some backyard pets for our children. We had come to all the commissioners at some point. There were some disappointing and unprofessional interactions with some people in zoning and planning, as well as the borough. Everyone seemed to want to point fingers. This person told me I had to. I told them I shouldn't. Well, if you keep the chickens this way, it isn't a problem. All I asked for that entire time was the definition they used for the citation. No one would give it to us. So it is not defined in the Richland local ordinances. We researched and discovered that then you would follow the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code definition if it is not defined locally. And we did not meet that definition. After several meetings with zoning and planning, with our borough, they basically told us it was just what they wanted. It didn't matter where the definition came from. It was just what they were going to do. And we wound up in the Court of Common Pleas. We were then I was sent to the zoning planning hearing at that point, where those gentlemen are appointed locally and were all told that they were to vote against us because it's what the borough again wanted. We were told that it was not about us breaking the law and it was not about chickens. It was about teaching me a lesson for going against authority. Fortunately, there is no one that oversees local municipalities, elected officials in that way. They're sort of independent. While I was granted that zoning hearing board, Michelle was not. We're still not.
Is that the Richland zoning hearing board?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Which we had,
So sorry.
we came into the county.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I have the right.
Which is what you
Sure.
have to do to go before.
Right.
And she was allowed to, and I was told, no, you can't, because I don't have anything in writing.
But
Mr.
I didn't
Rodriguez
either.
was at the hearing and heard Judge Kline say that he wants her husband and I to do the same. She didn't have anything in writing either, but he allowed her to do it.
Michelle then received an order from Judge Kline, saying, hey, you didn't go to your zoning hearing, so immediately remove your chickens. Well, again, like Michelle said, Lewis had told her she just wasn't allowed, and I was, and we're still not clear on why that occurred.
Lewis told you that?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
We were
I just
together.
want, again, just for clarification.
absolutely.
Wouldn't you have gone to your zoning and hearing?
No, you
board
have to go through planning, county
to-
planning to
okay.
be able
Yeah,
to
it's
go
a file.
before them.
Right.
And did you have legal counsel at all through this process?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what did they tell you?
Well, currently what he's telling us is that I can appeal my decision, and Michelle can appeal this order that she was given, based on the transcripts, which clearly state that while Lewis was present, she was told that she should go, that he recommended she goes, that he hoped she goes. He said it several times in multiple contexts. But in the meantime, she has removed the chickens, which has been difficult for her family, especially her son with disabilities. After she received that order, just in solidarity, I said, I'm going to get rid of them too. We fought a good fight. We went to everyone we could have gone to. We asked for leadership. We asked for accountability. We asked for definitions. They're not going to do it. Let's throw in the towel. That was September 2nd. September 3rd, I came into the office, mostly for my own peace of mind. I just needed to understand, even though I was giving it up, like what went wrong, what wasn't I seeing? And Mr. Rodriguez told me that we were right the whole time, that there is in fact no definition of an agricultural operation in the Richland ordinances. Did in fact receive that terminology from the Pennsylvania Municipality Code, and we do not meet that definition. And I cried because it has been a very long, stressful ordeal for our families. Expensive for our family. We're both hardworking people. We contribute to our community. The division in our town has been great. The cost to the taxpayer has been great. And at this point, what we really need is some accountability and a resolution, because at this point, we both have the opportunity to appeal, which we will. That'll be an additional $5,000 for our families. We're already looking at about 10 spent, and that includes paying the equity back to the borough, which would be the taxpayer money. But again, this will be more taxpayer money to bring their lawyer back to court. So that's what we're hoping to find here today, for someone to just be a leader, get to the bottom of it, make a decision, and end it for everyone. Because it's an ugly, painful situation.
Well, first of all, I want to acknowledge that I heard everything you said. You were very clear and concise. You have been through a long ordeal. I've been through many ordeals myself, so I do understand how you feel. Sitting here, it's easy for me to say things, but I want you to know what I'm saying is not to hurt you, but to help you. And it's going to be hard maybe to hear this. But first of all, the county commissioners do not have authority over the municipalities or the supervisors or their zoning board. And when William Penn set up counties and municipalities and school districts, he gave us each separate duties. The duty for establishing zoning was given to the municipalities. That being said, in Lebanon County, we do have a bit of a unique situation whereby the municipalities have hired the county to administer their zoning ordinances. We don't make them. We must carry them out in consultation with the municipality. Now, that being said, what I heard you say, that you are going to be going to court. So again, our hands are tied in what we can do, because when something is in litigation, it would be not very prudent for us to intervene, because we really do not have the authority. So those two things being under consideration, I hesitate to say too much more, except that we did discuss things with our planning department. We will take back some of the things you said today and ask them for clarification. That I can guarantee you we will do. I will do it for sure.
Ms. Allen did come to my office, I think the same day that she met with Lewis in the planning office, and expressed, I think, pretty much the same things that you've expressed today. From a personal standpoint, philosophically, I'm not always on the side of government, and that's probably strange for an elected official to say, but I'm not always on the side of government, and I think many times government is involved in areas of our lives where they shouldn't be. Whether or not this is one of those situations, I'm not certain at this point. But as Commissioner Litz already said, as county commissioners, we have really no authority over the municipalities. If we did, we'd be able to collect the central booking fee that we're asking them to pay, and they're not all willing to pay. So that in itself expresses the fact that we do not have authority over them. And again, our planning department is involved here, and I know there were some incidences that occurred earlier that were distasteful at the very least to you folks, and certainly I think we did react to those and ask the folks in planning to make some changes in that respect. So I would agree if in fact the things that you're saying here, may have some weight in court, and it's unfortunate that if we use the courts, of course, it does cost money. And, I certainly have empathy for you folks in that regard, because that's an unpleasant thing, and it's not easy for families with limited income and so on to afford those things. But certainly if you feel strongly and you feel that you are in the right, I admire you for taking that action.
Just wanted to clarify, currently the decision stands and no formal appeals have been filed. So right now we're sort of in a waiting place, hoping that something else will occur. And I do understand that you guys have no power authority over the municipality of Richland. But my question would be that, as the enforcement officers for Borough of Richland, how is it that they can enforce something that isn't there because they're told? That's my concern, right? As the acting enforcement officers. If
they have precedent, again, these are legal questions you're asking. I do not have that in front of me. I just want you to know I understand. I had raised my own chickens for quite some time. We lived out in Lickdale. Now, I happen to be zoned to agriculture, so I was properly zoned. But on occasion, some of my chickens would get out and go next door in the big field where there were cow patties, and they'd scratch. I didn't think it was hurting anything, but I was truly surprised when the farmer came down and talked to me and said, I really need to ask you to keep your chickens contained because of the threat of avian flu. So I just give you this as one more piece for your thought process. You can sometimes win the battle and lose the war. If something like that would occur, you would be forced to give up your chickens because it's very contagious.
Yeah, that's actually where our children are part of the Lebanon 4-H club, and that's actually
Okay.
a huge misconception. Backyard chickens are actually the solution to avian flu because it's the chicken houses where they're kept in thousands that the virus has an opportunity to move from chicken to chicken and mutate and become contagious to other animals. That's actually a concern. So keeping them in smaller numbers is actually the preventative measure in that case.
My son's very upset. I don't want to exploit him, and I haven't yet, because there is the fair housing. But they cannot take those chickens from him.
If he enjoys the chickens, sometimes being creative can help in situations. If he truly enjoys the animals, my son was in FFA, not 4-H.
He's out of school.
Pardon?
There's nothing for him to do anymore,
Right, but the point is,
because he was in all of that.
he went to the farmer and he then volunteered and he helped with the chickens, feeding them and cleaning, and so he got to interact with the animals that he enjoyed.
It's
That
not
might be
the
an
same as
option.
Having your own,
Yeah.
going out, collect the eggs and eating them.
Okay.
Mr. Rodriguez won't even get back to our lawyer, for our lawyer to speak to him, to help us out.
Apologize for the emotional, expense that this is, and the financial. But I think you are at the right place, is the zoning hearing board of Richland. That is where it has to be resolved in my,
She went before him already.
But I'm
and they
saying as
said-
far as an appeal, if that's what you choose to do, and whatever comments Lewis made, they were, ultimately, the weight would be at the zoning hearing board. That's my understanding anyway, that Richland has the final verdict on that. And if you appeal, then that's, maybe you'll get a different outcome on the second run, but that's my understanding anyway. But
No one is going to be accountable for this debacle. We're just
We
stuck
are, I had
forward.
given my assurance that I would talk with planning again, Mr. Rodriguez and
Okay.
the supervisor. But ultimately, as Commissioner Phillips has said, if our zoning officer has ruled incorrectly, the zoning hearing board would overturn him. That's my understanding.